Ladies and gentlemen, it is finals day. I hope you've been joining us over the last couple days because this has been one of the most exciting tournaments that we've seen in Quake Champions. So many different results, so many incredible games, so many games that have gone the distance. We're happy to have you here for the final days for the QPL World Championship. Joining me early this morning, good morning, good evening, catch up. Flea, how's it going? Excited to kick things off today. Every game today, with the exception of the finals, is a best of 5. We have 6 incredible players remaining. Av3k, vengeurR, Cipher, and Razi in the upper bracket. Rafa and Kilson, 2 powerhouses in the lower bracket. And no matter what, we're going to see some incredible games. Flea, hope you got some rest last night. Are you excited for another, I keep on wanting to say, Championship Sunday, but it's Championship Saturday.
Championship Saturday it is, and yes, Sweet, I am absolutely excited. The 6 players that I think we've got left with us today are without a doubt the best performing ones at this tournament. They have absolutely earned their spot, and I think that the matches we're going to get today are going to be just as good, if not better, than some of the amazing highlights we've seen in the past 2 days.
Oh, and this is what we're looking at schedule-wise. Av3k versus vengeurR as our first series of the day. Cipher and Razi going head-to-head afterwards. And then lying in wait in that lower bracket is Kilson and Rafa. So any combination of these matchups, you already know it's going to be ridiculous. Everything has a chance to go down to that final map scenario, especially with how everyone has been shaping up with their practice leading up into this tournament. There are some players out there like Razi, for instance, that I think when we were looking at every player in the list, there were some people looking at Razi's general weekly results and going, it doesn't quite look the way it once was. This tournament, though, he has brought it up to 250%. Like, this guy is here to play and is a clear tournament favorite. But guess what? All 6 players today are tournament favorites.
Completely agree. Every single matchup that we see today could be representative of a finals matchup. And Rafa said something really interesting last night. Excuse me, after his win in the lower bracket, and he was asked basically, what do you think it is, right? Like, are people improving? And Rafa said, I think that people's pools are getting deeper. I think that they're exploring more champion picks, getting more comfortable with maps. And today we're going to see all of that, right? With the best of 5, it means that your map pool knowledge needs to be impeccable, that your champion picks in various situations needs to be on point. And on top of that, add in timing, mechanics, aim, and all those things. They're all going to come ahead here on Championship Saturday for the World Championship. Let's just remind people how absolutely insane the action has been. Yesterday was a long day, but it was filled with so many incredible frags that made us leave with our mouths agape. Ladies and gentlemen, here is your day 2 recap before we head into the finals. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. It is time to kick off another day of the QPL World Championship. This is day 2.
Wow, what a play from Sparty. Does eat a rail, but the hook into the Mega, but Zen plants him regardless.
Perfect position to hit a rail, which he does. Repositions up on the high ground, but lovely rail for Zen. Woo! Double rail at that.
Sparty going all in, rail to Dire Orb. Zen makes it look easy.
Yeah.
Easy frag.
Oh, let's go.
Look at these rockets.
Ooh, I've never seen that exchange before.
And Kilson.
Oh my good God, what was that combo, Kilson? Good direct, 2 directs in a row.
Yes.
10-0.
Sib lands a rail that he really needed. Going to swing in to try to find that frag, and he does with a shotgun blast.
Almost tries to get that last rail here. He's got 35 HP and Av3k cuts him off. What a read.
And Rafa could just play around the fact that Av3k's just waiting on this item. Surely Av3k will die.
Av3k goes down again, but a trade. 10-4, a minute left, and very rare that we see this, but Av3k has done it.
He's so fast in the middle of a strafe jump that Zeniku doesn't even hear him around the corner.
None of the rockets are connecting. Finally, one does a bunch of
He gets
damage.
knocked
Here
off
we go.
course.
Both players so low.
Oh my lord! Zeniku, what was that? And he can't survive! That was an unbelievable map finish.
Confidence!
Oh my god! That was so awesome! Steals in that Mega and slams Razi in the face with a huge double barrel shotgun blast. Now a 3-frag lead for Kilson. And it's looking like Oh!
Damage here from base, but the rocket clap back from base. Is the shotgun going to be enough as he goes through the telly? Vengur smells blood. LG on LG again. Vengur comes out on top, and damn, this one's spiraling.
It is spiraling. Base is trying everything to get a frag. And no!
Pulling out a frag, needs to be careful as he slides on by with that LG. That's just so insane. And again, he goes up the jump pad.
Wow.
That was a whole lot of damage to the Liquid Man, and look at these rockets! He's got to give up both of the items. Still shows his face. This is so risky. Too risky, clearly. And now Rafa's got a nice rotation, 12 seconds between these items. What has happened to Sparty right now?
Rafa does manage to collect the Mega, but he gets hit by yet another rail. It doesn't look likely. Rafa pushes forward, and this time he's going to drop Sparty, taking the lead.
Lovely start, 2 for 2. Wimmers get the third as the Hank's not going to give him the chance, but he's going to come in with the shotgun. Very aggressive start, and what a fantastic way to kick things off.
This is DeHang's tournament life. He's coming in big time with that LG down to 14 points out, and there it is. DeHang was literally anywhere else on this map. He would not have died, and oh my god, at the buzzer.
Dramas, he just gets pushed out, but the rail denial on base. What a shot from Dramas.
Here's the upper ground. Chases down his opponent. His base going. Hits one. No!
Dramas really wanted that armor, and base saw it. Quite literally with the hook.
Kind of stuck in no man's land. Base pops the inject. He gets rails again.
Here comes Kilson. How much damage does he take while taking it? Oh, that's going to be it. And the first frag for Zeniku. Can he find him, though? Can he finish it? This is what I mean. Kilson, he's escaping, but is he all right? No, not quite. Oh! Kilson can definitely afford to keep things patient. Unfortunately, with those kind of rails, it'll become a lot tougher. However, there goes another one. Zeniku is going to drop, and it's 3 for 3.
Oh my gosh, the tribal into the rail combo. And off. And wow, that 1 HP kill again, twice in one series.
His future weeds. I mean, if we're looking at this, yeah, see, that's exactly how base needed to play that earlier. Back off.
Gentlemen, take your pick. There were so many phenomenal frags that took place yesterday. So many, oh my gosh, so many cries of joy. It was absolutely great. I want to remind everyone, well, let's take a quick look at the brackets here, so you can see how this all played out over the course of 2 days. Now, I do want to remind everyone, today's matches are going to be best of 5. We're going to have the semifinals, move on to the lower bracket, then the upper finals, the finish out the lower bracket, finally go to the grand finals. All of your matches are going to be right here on the A stream, so you're not going to have to go anywhere. You're not going to have 2 streams open. You're going to still get to see all of the action. So, gentlemen, anything here you want to talk about, mention? You've over the course of the weekend, you've talked a little bit about your favorite matches, certain frags, certain players that have stood out. But with 6 players remaining, what are your overall thoughts here as we head into the finals day?
Still recovering from the Sparty and Rafa matchup yesterday. I think, honestly, so many people that were tuning into that, there must have been all kinds of emotions on both sides, and one of the closest exchanges to such an incredible upset, right? But it wasn't had. We can see Rafa now in today's tournament, which explodes even more storylines, because look, there's no getting around the fact that Rafa has been the most dominant player in the Pro League, but now things get more interesting because he's on that lower side of the bracket and he's had to claw his way through it, through thick and thin. It was no easy task yesterday, but the question is, it has gone from can anyone beat Rafa to can Rafa still do it under these circumstances.
Yeah, indeed, that is the most interesting reversal that we've seen in the tournament in quite some time now, and there's been a lot of people who, over the course of the previous stage finals, looked at it and said, well, look at this, Rafa's got it easy, right? He's got the #1 seed, he only has to beat, 2 opponents, and he's nearly in the grand finals already. Not this time around. This time he dropped down into the lower bracket straight away, and now has to plow his way through all of EU's best just to have a shot at the grand final. So this completely reverses the way that we went into this tournament, and it is extremely exciting to behold.
This is a great chapter in this book of Quake. I really do like it. It's so much to look forward to here in day 3 as well. And before we jump into our first matchup and the picks and bans, want to remind everyone, because limited quantities, it's almost out. If you head on over to alienwarearena.com throughout the end of today, you can sign up. You can get yourself the QuakeCon 2021 Quake Champions bundle. Gets you 500 plat. It gives you some cosmetics. Gives you a weapon skin, so you don't have to feel so naked if you're first loading up for the first time, or add to what you've already got. alienwarearena.com or !Alienware in chat, and the link directly to that giveaway bundle will pop up. Gentlemen, it is time. Av3k versus vengeurR is going to be the first matchup that we're going to be jumping into. This is going to be the upper bracket semifinals. So both of these players obviously still alive, still have a chance through the lower bracket, but every single one of them wants to make it to that grand final spot, win, have that one map advantage in the finals, and of course be one step closer to potentially crowned champion for stage 3. Let's start by talking about Av3k. Av3k, throughout the course of the season has talked a little bit about his own struggles, about how he's wanted to improve the game. And I think we find an Av3k here today on Championship Saturday who is comfortable, who's ready to play, and who's already posted some great results. Flea, what do you think about Av3k here in this matchup versus vengeurR?
I mean, I think that one of the most important things to point out is just the match history between these two. Because, and this might come as a surprise to some, over the course of this season, Av3k has beaten vengeurR every single time they went up against each other. First 2-1 in the first stage, then 3-0 in stage 2. That was the stage when Av3k absolutely floored every viewer with his immaculate performance. And then just a few weeks ago, one more 2-0-1. You can see it right there, week 8. Av3k has had a very strong performance, especially against vengeurR, so that might prove to be a troublesome experience for the Italian player today.
And at the same time, with that in mind, no one understands those results more than vengeurR, and there's going to have to be some intense research to be done before they play, because vengeurR knows, look, if I've had a bit of a hard time against this guy, and now we're playing in the biggest tournament of my life so far, this is where you want to get that win at last. And with the amount of maps to work with, the champion picks and bans, which we'll get into in due time, this is where the highest caliber gets tested. Because it's no longer the days of we have that kind of final map, so we're left with the scraps when you used to see Death Knight get picked, before he got buffed. This is where everyone understands everything and anything. And vengeurR, above all else, I feel like is going to be prepared for this matchup. I think it has every opportunity to go all the way, by all means. But there's a lot of confidence in vengeurR's play recently, and I think there's a lot of the fans that want to see him do well. These are 2 fan favorites, but vengeurR's just closer and closer and closer to greatness. This would be the path of champions. Take out the guy that's been giving you trouble, and then who knows, sky's the limit.
The other thing, just to point out that Rafa said last night before we closed out, was that this is going to be a day of endurance. And I completely agree with him, right? There's so many players that are just phenomenal still left in. Any journey through the lower bracket is going to be a difficult one. Making it through the upper bracket, kind of sitting back, being able to watch your other opponents as you prepare for the finals is going to be quite a treat for them, but it is going to certainly be measuring of endurance of all of these players. So I'm excited. We're going to jump right into it. And as you mentioned, Ketchup, you know, some of those results were best of 3 or play all 3 maps, and now things are a little bit different as we expand that map pool, go to the best of 5, go to a full champion pick, and here we are. We have Corrupted Keep as our first map. We're going to then move on to Ruins, going to have Awoken as map number 3, Molten Falls for map 4, and Veil for map 5.
I think we look at the picks and bans here, and there's a little bit of potentials where we were playing the distance. For example, you do not see Doomslayer picked all that much on Corrupted Keep. However, with all of the maps left to go, especially something like Awoken, for instance, get the Doomslayer now so you can pick Nyx on Awoken, which means that the double jump threat is not really going to be something that you have to deal with, right? This is where the map pool starts to really expand, because those champions you go with early, it's not going to be just, I want to play this champion on this map. Sometimes it's, I want to remove this so you can't use it 2 maps down the line.
Indeed, there is a lot of strategy involved in picking and choosing your own champions and maps up against your opponents. Now, one of the things that stands out to me is that Awoken matchup, yes, there is no Doomslayer, but Nyx, to a certain extent, fills the same role with those wall jumps around the center area of the map. She gets to go up against Athena. Now, that is going to be a hype matchup. Athena is extremely powerful on Awoken as well. And then on Molten Falls, 4th map in the series, we get to see Slash again. That really is her playground. Yesterday in chat, I saw quite a few people who were watching and they just said, oh, well, it's Slash on Molten Falls, GG already. Now, obviously, that's not entirely true, but Slash is an extremely powerful pick that Av3k is going to try and counter with the Visor. And then if we get to it, the final map is going to be Veil, where we get to see Death Knight versus BJ, so 2 very high damage outputs. I think the main thing that's interesting is just the complete absence of big body champions. There is no Keel, there is no Sorlag, there is no Scale, there is no Clutch. None of the heavy champions are being played in this series.
I mean, 3 of them got banned out, and Clutch just got left on the sidelines, poor guy.
Well, there's no reason to delay the action any further. The chat is excited, the players are ready to go, and our first semifinal is upon us. Ketchup and Flea will be taking you through the action. Good luck to the players. I can't wait to hear you bring this action to life, and I'll see you on the other side.
Thank you very much. And just like that, we're going to be jumping into our first map of the day. Championship Saturday. This is going to be the big one. And plenty of opportunities to talk about predictions. Now, Flea, I reckon that the concentration of like split down the middle predictions is going to be quite common today. Do you?
I absolutely agree. And I'm looking at chat right now. It is 50-50.
I knew it.
Down
I didn't even look at chat and I knew it.
Now it's switched 51 for Av3k versus 49 for vengeurR, but for all intents and purposes, that is the exact same thing. Everyone is up in the air about this, right? vengeurR has been looking extremely strong throughout this tournament, having taken down both Sip and Base already. But on the other hand, you've got Av3k, who has already taken down the Liquid guys, first the Hang, then Rafa. So both of these players are in prime shape, and it's really going to be too close to call.
Well, folks, here we go. We're jumping into this warm-up that is now coming to a close. It's Corrupted Keep, Doomslayer versus Ison. We could be in for an absolute marathon, not just for this series, but for the entire day of World Championship action. It's the final challenge here, as now Av3k goes up against vengeurR. This is just the start of the day, Flea. Are you kidding me?
Indeed it is. This might as well have been a grand finals, but we're only just getting started, and we're doing so on Av3k's point of view, as he's immediately taking a fight over at the LG. That's a good turret. vengeurR has no choice but to retreat, fall back slightly, and make good use of those rockets. As Av3k actually dropping down, a bit of a puzzling decision, putting himself at the mercy of those rockets from above. Not quite sure where that decision came from, but that is a quick 1-0 kill for vengeurR.
Now, at the very least, as vengeurR backs up to take this heavy, Av3k knows that vengeur's not going to pick up an LG just yet. And that is going to be a bit of an objective, right? Keep these important weapons away from them if you can. You know, if there's a more important challenge, then maybe take that later. Looks like the machine gun damage from vengeurR is absolutely out of this world, and he scores another frag. Av3k sticking around. I mean, it just seemed like maybe he just didn't expect vengeurR to hit nigh every shot from that. And he's going to back off now, take yet another heavy, push forward a little bit just to get some important resources. I like that micromanagement always and forever. Nice predictive rocket though from Av3k as he keeps vengeurR away just long enough to secure a mega that keeps him in there with a fighting chance. There's plenty of this map left to go. And vengeurR not shy of slowing the pace down. And he will hide in all those little crannies in the side of the map just to make it a bit harder to catch him. Sets up for those potential traps almost. And vengeurR actually looking to do the same thing. Still hasn't had an LG, by the way, Flea. All map long.
Yeah, now this is not an easy matchup for Av3k either, right? Because he knows that vengeurR has some of the strongest rockets in the league, as you can see right here, right now. And that is only made worse by using the Doomslayer, because you can force the high ground at every situation. And that is so difficult to counter. So we're going to see Av3k probably rely on LG a lot more. Av3k has only landed 1 rocket catch-up. 1 rocket. He's only fired 7 as well, because he's very clearly avoiding that weapon a bit, knowing how difficult it can be to use it effectively against the Doomslayer. And so vengeurR is making such good use out of that extra hide in combination with his powerful rockets, to the point that he doesn't even seem to need LG.
And that tri-bolt has been quite the magic weapon. You know, we're so used to seeing the heavy machine gun as your ranged option down near LG, but vengeur's tri-bolt has done a pretty decent amount of damage already, seeing as that's the only time he's needed to go for it. And now, rocket in hand, he's able to pretty much set up shop right near where Nailgun is. And he's been here for the vast majority of the map. It does mean that he controls one of the armors, which is certainly going to help him out for the next push, of which heavy is the next item that gets picked up here from Av3k. vengeurR looking to chunk it down piece by piece. Mega just about to spawn. Both players having a really good timing on it. vengeurR doing enough damage to force his way forward, and all things considered takes almost nothing to pick it up. And he's going to be able to back off towards yet another light. vengeurR is going to have timing on both of these, which is going to give him quite an advantage in the fight to come.
And now we are seeing a significant split between the items, around 11 seconds. That is absolutely opening up the opportunity for vengeurR right now to maybe secure both of them. But Av3k, clever on the positioning, shutting down the entrance to the room. If only Av3k had the turret right there. I believe if he had the ability available, he probably could have secured the mega for himself. But now he did have to yield the high ground and give it up to vengeurR, who's now punishing him relentlessly. Finally putting that LG to good work as well. Already secured a 4-0 lead.
Av3k created a not too horrific position for himself. He now has timing on both of the lights. Before he dropped down there, he collected the last light that existed, meant that vengeurR had no armor. However, able to bring himself back from the brink quite easily, and that's going to be some bonus LG fresh off the spawn. Keep the stack difference extreme as a mega gets picked up as well by the Italian, and this is just going from better to even better. A major push now, Super Shotgun and Doomslayer, name a more iconic duo, and that's now 6-0. Av3k is having a bit of a hard time here.
vengeurR kind of losing track on the item timing for the small armor, but that's not going to be a big deal. Av3k is going to gently nudge him with a rocket to bring him down low enough so he can at least deny it. Oh, vengeurR so quick on the retreat right there. He just felt that the LG was off for him in those first few moments of the fight and immediately left it. He knows that he's got a solid lead to work with, doesn't have to force out anything. He's perfectly fine with giving Av3k that mega, knowing very well that he's the more mobile and faster champion of the two. Now, as you pointed out yourself, Corrupted Keep is not the map that you really see the greatest utility from Doomslayer on, but nevertheless, it helps significantly being able to traverse that center area around LG, as well as near heavy, so much easier. Surprise attack.
And that's a lot of LG in return. Av3k's able to score himself a frag here, and there is lots of time for him to get this comeback on deck. Now as he pushes forward, Turret is ready to go. He knows where vengeurR is. Heavy about to spawn, and it looks like actually Av3k being nice and aggressive as he waits for the item to spawn. A good call, right? Push out, make sure A, they can't take it, and B, you might even be able to get a little bit of bonus damage or information. And now Av3k with the full map control for now. I think vengeurR will be happy to sit on this lead for just a little bit. Lovely positioning with the surprise rocket, but Av3k finds one of his own. 100. Give it to me.
Nice and patient as well, just waiting for the double jump to land and then placing down the perfect rocket. Good prediction there as well. vengeurR is hurting, but Av3k isn't all too healthy himself. Actually gonna take a dip in the lava, and that won't help as vengeurR cleans him up with that base machine gun and secured the heavy for his trouble as well. Doesn't have the LG to work with. That massively favors Av3k in this engagement, but yet the Polish Prince decides to retreat and prioritize Mega instead, or at least holding down position in front of it. That was a good decision from Av3k, right? You feel the impulse to chase, knowing that you have the upper hand, but if you do so, and vengeurR just goes through the teleporter, takes the high ground, he can easily steal away Mega while you're trying to chase him down. So it's that delicate balance you have to strike between item control and doing damage. Now on the other hand, 3.5 minutes left for 5 frags. Not that easy for Av3k anymore.
And vengeurR will be happy to keep hiding in these little corners, right? In between the item spawns, keep himself nice and healthy. Another Mega gets picked up, but if vengeurR just gets even one good burst of Tri-Bolt, kind of like that, he's going to be able to nullify the benefits of it. One thing vengeurR's done a phenomenal job of so far, it has been just running across and taking these small armors when he can. It feels like he's almost never out of armor, and that is going to show a lot of respect to the LG. I mean, Av3k in some of these encounters has got unreasonable damage from it, especially against Doomslayer, right? Doomslayer doesn't like dealing with an LG, man. That double jump gets completely nullified by it.
Speaking of damage, they're more or less exactly tied. 2,600, 2,700 damage each at this point. Same goes for the item timings, rather. Av3k has a slight advantage, but that's mainly because vengeurR has been adopting a much more passive playstyle over the past minute or two that's allowed Av3k to string together quite a few of these major pickups. And now let's see if the endpoint player can get some momentum going, because that is what he desperately needs, but those rockets are just too beautiful. 7 points of health. Av3k is desperate. He wants the Mega, but he can't go for it. vengeurR's got the better positioning and will punish his attempt to pick this up. Rockets hurt again. Even with the Mega, he's only at 38 points of health right now. Catch up.
Yeah, vengeurR, we could see it from his point of view. Well, I could. I was able to kind of get that decision on where Av3k was going to go. I don't think he expected Av3k to go straight down near where Machine Gun was. It's a bit of a risky play. At the very least, Av3k was able to take that item away, but it hasn't really led to much. Because from this position, vengeurR, he doesn't really need any more frags. If he can just keep Av3k low, and he can keep Av3k weak enough that he can't be on those important item pickups, kind of like right now, right? Where he only had a regular stack. It's just going to take time, and time is absolutely on the Doomslayer side. 1.5 minutes and this map's going to be done. Av3k has a huge amount of work to do to bring himself back into this, and time is running out fast.
He's going to get a good LG engagement.
Rockets, come on, Flea! How are they so good all the time?
I mean, if there's one thing that vengeurR's known for, it's those beautiful rockets. Now, Av3k is definitely not out for the count just yet. A minute left to go. 3 frags is going to be difficult, but Corrupted Keep is the snowball map in the pool right now. If he can get one, he can easily transmit it into yet another spawn frag. But he's got to get into that rhythm, that momentum.
This is the start of things. Av3k, plenty of stack behind him. That heavy being picked up, and vengeurR so weak. Hang on, one more super shotgun, maybe an extra. The turret to get dropped down, but Av3k just can't get himself back up there safely. Couldn't rocket jump because he's too weak. He is going to be able to find his way around. vengeurR, can he head him off? An extra bonus shot will do it. Now vengeurR is not able to steal away that Mega. That was going to be the objective from this. And vengeurR has to run away for 20 seconds. Av3k has all the pieces in play to kill him, but he's got to find him first.
vengeurR hiding around the corner. Oh!
vengeurR could have probably got away with not firing anything there.
He absolutely could have just let Av3k pass clean on by, and with 4 seconds left, vengeurR can just delay the spawn. He might be able to catch a glimpse of him, but no. 1 frag is going to mean all the difference, as vengeurR is able to just run along with that initial lead that he managed to establish early on and secure a map 1 victory straight off the bat.
close call. That was not one-sided by any stretch, and considering you quite rightly pointed out that Corrupted Keep does tend to be the most snowball-heavy map, especially with, honestly, both of these players. Their aim is phenomenal, their aggression can be often unmatched. I mean, this is Av3k for crying out loud, and he kept things nice and competitive by the final moments. It's just that vengeurR, the slow play, we've always said that he's one of the absolute best players in the world at playing when he's out of control. When he's in a position where he is now letting you take these items because he wants to be more unpredictable, more hard to pin down, it is unreasonably hard to deal with it.
Indeed it is. Now map 2 is going to be a different beast altogether. There is one major factor that differentiates this arena from the previous one, and that is of course the fact that Railgun will be back in play. Corrupted Keep is the only map in the pool that lacks a rail, but that is one of the key weapons on Ruins of Sarnath, which is going to be the second arena. Av3k is going to be playing as Galena, whereas vengeurR prioritizes the movement once again, playing as the Ranger. So how do you think this is going to pan out now that there's a railgun in play?
With both of these players having a rail as good as it is, it's kind of hard to say because that advantage goes both ways, doesn't it? And then there's always that question of how is someone's rail looking on the day. It can often be one of the weapons that players, even at this caliber, you can have an off day and your rails just aren't where they should be. And if you're in one of these matchups where someone's hitting everything and you're hitting every other shot, all it takes in those rail exchanges at distance, especially on a map like Ruins, is for one of you to get hit and not return the damage, and it changes the entire control of the map. You could have full control over every item. You get hit by one rail that you can't return, you haven't got an ability or something to either get the health back or maybe match that damage if you fire up close, and it's, okay, right, well now I have to slow play. And then they take one item, that can become many more items, and who knows.
Yeah.
But I feel like with these two players, all it's going to do is take this intense matchup that we've been seeing, and I just see it expanding beyond that, right? We're going to see more damage, especially with the Galena and having that stack that you've got to micromanage something extra because Galena at any moment could drop a totem down. vengeur's orb usage is always good, but I think there's such dynamics with these two champions in particular that I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it just as much as you are. Now, I'm a little worried about Av3k. If he falls behind again, Ketchup, I fear that we might see the same situation we saw on the previous map, where he has to chase down an opponent with the lead and more mobility, because vengeurR will have that orb to work with and to stay away from his opponent, and I don't know if he can catch up to him on time. So Av3k, it is imperative that he does not allow the score difference to get out of hand early on, and he actually had a solid opportunity to make a push for Mega right there, but obviously with the weapons that he had available to him, decided not to go for it. I also think that he probably wasn't aware that Mega was still up, figured that vengeurR had taken it by then, but nope, it was delayed massively, and we're gonna get a surprise engagement. vengeurR should be able to pick this one up. He has the rockets, he's got the orb, the burst damage at close range will massively favor the Italian right there, and Av3k caught by surprise.
That was just a mixture of awareness and understanding. vengeurR had pushed in so early with the rail that he knows Av3k only has a starting machine gun. The next call to action, I mean, it could very well have been rocket, and vengeurR read it perfectly, putting himself there first. And it was that combination of the mega delay, taking all the weapons away from Av3k, Av3k having almost nothing to work with, that meant, look, I can now lay a trap on Heavy. If he's here to take it, this fight is mine. There's no weapon Av3k can use to challenge. That's exactly what happened. vengeurR now sitting on full control. The orb fake out, but can he kill him quick enough? He gets him just in time to steal away the mega and continue this absolute momentum. Now he has to focus on armor, as Heavy will be the next objective, but this minute and a half, it's almost like vengeurR has looked into a crystal ball. Everything has worked out to perfection, Flea.
That previous fight came down to the microsecond catch-up. A fraction of a second later, that totem had dropped, Av3k would have lived, Av3k would have picked up the Mega, and he should have been able to take down vengeurR then, but it all came down to just that tiny sliver of a moment that gave vengeurR the upper hand and allowed him to get yet another frag on the board. Now there's only 5 seconds between the items, Heavy is spawning first, makes it more difficult to move from one to the other, as Av3k just doesn't really have many weapons to work with, and vengeurR is completely aware of this. Av3k's main objective right now is to find a way onto the LG and the railgun.
Now the very least, Av3k does control a part of the map that gives him plenty of information, right, over the items. In this case, he knows the heavy's here. Takes the Mega, and that 5-second split really continues. vengeurR pushing forward, but I'm really eyeing up that Dire Orb. And I think Av3k keeping it in mind too. There's such a degree of ranged respect you need to show to a talented Ranger. At any moment, that orb can come out. And if vengeurR's sitting on this much armor, those close range rockets favor him because of range's passive. The orb favors him because of burst damage. Especially seeing as right now, at least, that totem is still down for a good 20 seconds. This could be a chance for vengeurR to push in, but I think he's going to keep playing it safe. And they trade item for item. Now, this does mean that one of those frags might not be as significant, right? Because if you get someone now and there's no delay on the items, whoever can spawn is likely going to spawn near it. And they could probably pick it up and keep themselves in the fight.
Av3k still cruising on without the lightning gun. He hasn't had that weapon in, what, 2 minutes or so. And I'm not sure if vengeurR is aware that he still managed to deny the LG to his opponent. I like what I'm seeing there. Av3k also starting to hide some of the totems in a part of the map that vengeurR hasn't even shown his face in once. He's got 2 of them up right now. One of them is likely to be destroyed quickly because it's right next to the Mega, but that other one is in a pretty secure position.
Big fan of this center point fortification strategy too. vengeurR has pushed in forward, but there's a good 10 seconds now until Mega and Heavy spawn. And that extra totem that Av3k hidden away means that if he wants to push around from the back end at any point, there is going to be a totem there to fall back on. And also, you know, while vengeurR was away and he knows he's not going to be near where you get super shotgun, for instance, there was just all of this untapped hourglasses that build up yet another. And they're going to exchange these items now. You can see vengeurR, a very deliberate delay. He does not want the items to spawn at the same time. The second we get full control back, that's where vengeur's going to be at his most comfortable.
I love how we were hyping up the railgun so much, and now there's literally been one railgun landed so far in the entirety.
Well, that normally is.
Yeah, indeed. It's so strange. We started off rather explosively, but now it has slowed down to a crawl. Good rocket jump from Av3k. He's got the LG now. He's going to take the fight, and vengeurR once again throwing people off with the orb. He's really been consistent about throwing out the orb and not teleporting to it. He's really just throwing it out as a distraction. And it's working wonders for him, and that 1 frag is going to snowball into 2 as Av3k gets a regrettable spawn. And vengeurR, of course, is going to punish that instantly.
Now, if Av3k wants to do anything about this heavy, I think as good as it's going to get is that 1 rail, which is better than nothing by all means, and it does give Av3k some kind of opportunity, but this was all about the item split. Av3k's going to take that Mega instantly. He can't afford to sit around on it. He wants to push out, but what it does do is keep that delay. A delay that could work in his favor if he lands a frag, well, kind of about now, to be honest. If he's able to get anything on vengeurR here, the chase down begins. But the defensive play from vengeurR, he gets a decent chunk of damage, but as this delay continues, Av3k's going to quickly take that extra time to take the rocket. But actually, vengeurR not getting a terrible spawn, all things considered. He keeps the items.
At least one of them will go his way. vengeurR gets a good spawn next to Heavy indeed, but it will be Av3k who secures Mega and is now looking for some armor of his own. He knows he's still got plenty of time left, so he can afford to just roam the outskirts and first get his stack up to a serviceable level. Oh, I think he saw vengeurR. He knows where his opponent is. This is good from Av3k. Very good read on vengeurR as he completely shuts off access to the Heavy. And is now racing over towards the Mega. This is the next point of contest. Oh, fumbling the weapons a little bit. But vengeurR doesn't really manage to take advantage of it, and it will still be Av3k who now has a rotation on both of them.
Catching him swapping weapons, so there's no return damage, but I guess it really doesn't matter if you're still able to pick up one of these major items and keep the stack in your favor. Speaking of which, we dropped down a totem on the retreat just in case Av3k needs to back away. Bit of a dedicated fight. The rockets are so good. Av3k just pulling it out of nowhere forever and always. I like vengeur's spawn play, like he knows the rail angle's there. There's no point putting yourself in that line of sight, but he can't survive as the rockets continue, and just like that, we have blinked and missed it. 2 frags in the favor of Av3k. He jumps in and takes the Mega as well. This massive delay between the items will continue as Av3k cycles his way around. vengeurR caught in the wrong part of town. And what was basically 6.5 minutes of full control has now gone into the favor of Av3k, who looks to get another one.
Beautiful play. Av3k has got all of the totems up as well. If he can get to another one of them, he'll get that juicy overstack. Mega's about to spawn and vengeurR is there, but all he has got to work with is the rockets and the machine gun. He cannot stick around, and that makes it so easy for Av3k to just assert control. Gets a good read. The LG is good from vengeurR, but that stack is too much to deal with. And Av3k now, 2 frags in the lead. What a complete reversal catch-up.
And I think just making matters worse, seeing as he's just about to get a totem back to have all 3 in play. And right as vengeurR spawns, he lands on one of them, which does the extra damage. It could not be a worse scenario for vengeurR. Av3k playing the long game of totem setup. And I think you add the full control and the totems on top. What is vengeurR to do here? Likely to drop for another time. 21 damage is all it did, but that's all he needed. And less than 2 minutes on the clock. This is falling out of vengeur's hands very quickly indeed. Av3k is going to jump down and be aggressive. More rocket play, which has been one of his star weapons without question. vengeurR, oh no, getting nothing off the orb, but hang on a second. We do drop down an orb, get ourselves back up to 100 in that light armor. Oh my lord, Galena in the stack. It's just so dangerous.
Good use of the heavy nail gun by vengeurR, hitting an ungodly amount of damage right there. Now we're getting another fight for the Mega, and actually Av3k is going to retreat at the sight of that nail gun once more. He knows that getting caught out now could mean disaster, but he's in a good spot to trade, actually. We've been hyping up vengeur's rockets so much, and indeed they deserve every last bit of the hype, but Av3k absolutely determined not to be upstaged, doing sick shots of his own. And now with 1 minute left to go, vengeurR has got the stack advantage, positionally outdoing his opponent right now as well, but time is not on his side. He's got to fight Av3k. Yes, he has the orb to help him out, but he's got to find him, and he will. Nice little rail catch-up.
He's going to push forward and cycle round. Actually, in this instance, Av3k. that was a bit of a clincher, that one.
Sneaky.
30 seconds to get 2 frags, though. We have to keep this in mind. vengeurR doesn't want to risk taking it out. Is he going to check the bottom? Av3k hiding again. vengeurR, he's found him. There's one. The aggressive play works. And what's it going to be? Where's he going to appear here? vengeurR is listening out.
Av3k spawns basically in the same position as he was hiding at earlier. No! vengeurR looks the wrong way.
No, he just didn't check behind him. Flee.
Av3k was just staring at his back for a full second or so, and vengeurR turns away and rocket jumps to the other side of the map. So close, that's gonna be frustrating when he re-watches the VOD, because he was this close to getting an entirely free frag and tying it all up with full control. But now this leaves us with a tied series 1-1. Just as down the middle as everyone was expecting.
I honestly cannot believe how that map closed. But this is Ruins. It's not one of those maps where you can freely check every single corner. This is one of those maps where you have to, I think, really go out of your way. And there's a reason vengeurR did that, right? He's looking either way. He's having to make a straight up read on where Av3k is. But because just how the movement works and how he needed to keep that momentum and go as fast as possible, he had dedicated to that part of the map and just wouldn't have had a chance. If he looked for that part of the map, we have the luxury of X-ray and we can see what he, quote unquote, should have done.
Yeah.
But if Av3k was on the other side of the map and he looked to the left, it would have slowed him down. He wouldn't have had time to check out both. He had to almost roll that 50-50, which it must have been in his eyes. And an 8-7. Oh my lord, how close that could have been to a sudden death, though, Flea. That's a map to recover from.
Also just very tight, both in terms of damage output, was very close to one another, and item control. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 items that favored one of those players towards the end, but overall that was such a close game, and that is exactly what we've come to expect from these players. We talked about it before the series started, right? In all 3 of their previous engagements, Av3k actually managed to beat vengeurR, so clearly that man is going into the series with a lot of confidence, but this is also something that that vengeurR has been studying. He's really been preparing for this, and this next matchup could just be the most chaotic one we've seen yet. Awoken, really small map, and we're getting Athena played by Av3k versus vengeurR on the Nyx. 2 lights duking it out for the first time today.
It's one of those explosive matchups, isn't it? The mobility comes in different forms. With Nyx, her wall jump may as well be a double jump on Awoken because there are so many positions where she just gets access to it. And at the same time, I mean, Athena, a champion that is growing in popularity in the Pro League, becoming a big part of the game's meta, highly execution heavy, by all means. But I think at this level of play, that execution element is kind of removed because these are the best players in the world. If there's a tool available, they'll be able to maximize it. But at the same time, it is going to be that distinct lack of stack, I think. The railgun, as you quite rightly, and you mentioned this yesterday, if you hit a light champion with the rail, even when they've got max stack, it is so different to if you hit like a stacked keel or a Sorlag or something. They're hard to hit, by all means. It's the balance element, right? They're not as easy to connect those shots against. But when you look at vengeurR and Av3k, do we really think they're going to miss those shots? I'm not convinced.
I mean, these are two of the strongest aimers out there, right? vengeurR is... it feels strange to still refer to him as the new blood, right? Given his track record and his performances, but he's definitely one of the younger players in the Quake Pro League. His reflexes, his aim are so good, but the same can be said for Av3k just the same. We've had tournaments, I still remember DreamHack Winter 2018 when Rafa afterwards congratulated Av3k saying his mechanics were basically unrivaled, especially in 2v2. So these two players are so pure when it comes to their mechanics, and we're kicking it off on Av3k's point of view, running the Athena.
Now vengeurR is going to initially get a rather decent spawn for the weapons that he needs, and oh my lord, that tri-bolt. That tri-bolt was one hell of a way to start. However, without a rocket launcher, oh, that is the stack situation we were talking about. A little bit of that extra damage swapping to the super shotgun, and then a little bit of self-damage. Job's a good one. vengeurR and Av3k, both players weak. Right as it spawns, Av3k almost survives with 1 HP, but not quite now. It's 2 frags that separate the two of them. vengeurR keeping him at bay, and Av3k's going to drop for yet another time. This is going to be an explosive matchup, I feel.
There was one crucial misplay by Av3k in not picking the LG of that first spawn. If he had picked up LG while meeting vengeurR, who came from Mega, he would have easily gotten that first frag. But now he's already 3 points behind. I think he just wanted to be so quick around the corner because he wasn't sure if vengeurR was going to go down banana. But if he would have stopped for LG, absolutely would be looking at a different scoreline right now. And that is how quickly these small decisions can really change the grand outcome of these series. Good use of the hook right there, but that shotgun is murderous. vengeurR takes him down, and Av3k looking a little lost right now.
Yeah, it's surprising actually seeing Av3k go towards that rail. It seemed almost rather obvious that vengeurR was going to go up that jump pad and just continue running around, and I'm not really sure what Av3k was thinking on that one. However, he is able to get some lovely LG, especially from that angle, and he takes out vengeurR, brings himself in a position where he can get the important items, in this case on the way to heavy. He's getting the rail on deck, and now he has both items in control. But this is what we're talking about. vengeurR, one of the players out there that when he doesn't have all the items, he still somehow manages to find a way to win maps, sometimes convincingly.
If we look back at the previous map, we saw Av3k basically get, what, 4 frags in a minute and a half? So sacrificing 3 just to get full control going? He obviously didn't mean to just straight up sacrifice them, but this is absolutely not a disaster for Av3k. If he can continue cycling the items with the same level of confidence while landing his shots, there is going to be a time where vengeurR is going to run out of that ghost walk and won't be able to steer clear from Av3k's aim. But look at this! Oh, please let this amount to something.
I'm looking at it from vengeurR's point of view. He certainly didn't see it. Right as he went around the corner, Av3k stuck the rocket launcher out there, but that's going to be one area of many to keep an eye on. It's one of my favorite things about watching Awoken is there are a lot of little hidden areas that you can be a sneaky boy.
Behind the waterfall, in true video game fashion.
Of course.
Loving those actual swings with the hook. There's a few places on Awoken in particular where you can really make good use of them. Oh, Av3k. Yeah,
funny you should mention that, because if one doesn't quite go the right way, this happens. But wait! vengeurR just does not get the spray. Every shot did about 8 damage or something. Just nowhere near enough to finish it off.
And Av3k was absolutely on point with his LG right there. Even though he could only see basically the tip of vengeur's head, he was still landing a ridiculous amount of damage. Now with 1 point of health, a single bullet will be enough to end his life. So he has to retreat. He absolutely can't show his face on Mega. And vengeurR knows that. vengeurR is going to clean him up, knowing very well that his opponent needed to go for those resources and that he still had the Mega behind him to fall back on. And now he's absolutely applying the pressure. Av3k unable to get out of the room on time. That super shotgun working wonders for vengeurR. It's already gotten 3 frags. 3 out of 5 of his kills have been with the shotgun this game.
Normally something you'd see against the more heavy champions. You know, those lights a little bit more able to get around the spray. But at the same time, I've got to mention here, vengeurR always doing the maths in these fights. Even in that previous frag, he knows that, look, Av3k, he's gonna grab this rail when I'm going up the jump pad. It's extremely likely I'm going to get hit by this free shot because there's not much I can do to avoid it. But if I just hit my shots in this fight, mathematically alone, I should definitely be able to take this. And he just keeps it all through. And that execution's on point. He's hitting the shots that he needs to. And it's just that level of fearless efficiency. 6-0 now as we hit that halfway point. vengeurR having a lot of these items in his pocket in position for the Mega, but he does need to watch out for that extremely popular tribal area. Just about to run out of LG ammo, actually, so he's going to have to rely on something else. Doesn't quite get the rail, though. Has the item. The important thing is that Av3k doesn't have it.
I feel like Av3k's positioning has sometimes been a little odd in this series, right? Like repeatedly putting himself down at the super shotgun spawn when vengeurR is up above him, or just zipping straight up to the railgun knowing that vengeurR is around there when he's got nothing to work with in terms of weaponry. There's a few strange decisions that Av3k has made so far that really haven't worked out for him, and vengeurR has been playing such a tight and controlling game so far. In terms of damage outputs, it's again pretty much equal, but so far the item pickups are strongly favoring the Maestro man. This could be a really good trap from vengeurR. Oh, he's still down there! Av3k didn't realize that vengeurR was down there up until the small armor spawned. He had a good opportunity to deal damage, but it was unfortunately firing his tribal at the wrong side of the room. And now with a missed hook, he's given vengeurR a lot of opportunities here. Catch up.
And one moment where vengeurR managed to slip the net near that light armor. It really did create this awkward position for Av3k, where thankfully he was able to keep himself out there and has a nice manage of the item. Still, that rocket opening up 200 damage from the rockets, and then a little bit extra from that super shotgun. What a frag. Now, vengeurR, he is early by at least 10 seconds. And that minor fumble has given Av3k a chance to grab some items. The Ghost Walk has been used, thankfully, but that's a rare moment of vengeurR completely mistiming something.
One of the first times that we've seen the Ghost Walk used this map as well. vengeurR has really just been hanging on to it, knowing that he is in the lead, of course, and that he doesn't have to use it for any aggressive pushes. And if he can just stay away from Av3k, he's always got that backup. He's got the A's up in his sleeve to get out of even the trickiest of situations, and he definitely needed to pop it there, and indeed he did. Now he is giving up full control, but with 3 minutes left, for 7 frags, I could absolutely see vengeurR just double back, or rather hold plus back, and steer clear of his opponent and just walk away with the scoreline that he has. We saw the same thing happen on Corrupted Keep. Av3k was unable to break his stranglehold then, and now it seems unlikely as well.
Looks like vengeurR was trying to fake out that nail jump as well. Gonna make a lot of noise out there. And I always love that play. You fake out the nail jump from the bounce pad and then you kind of just slip by on the right with the rail. Because if they hear it, that's where they're gonna go.
Yeah.
vengeurR, no stranger to those plays where it's, I know that you should be looking for this, so I'm gonna do this. Maybe yourself if you can just beat him to it. There it is.
Yeah.
A rocket into Ghost Walk. And already successfully wasted 1 of the 3 minutes that remains. There's no surprise that vengeurR has had this shifting gear. In this position, the 7 frags in 2 minutes. I mean, that's hard to obtain anyway, let alone championship finals day, let alone vengeurR as your opponent. And I just think that he's doing a fantastic job of slowing this down perfectly. Av3k does manage to get a rail, gets 2. All right, 6 frags in a minute and a half.
Those actually came from a bit of a mistake, because Av3k
he
most
fell off.
definitely didn't mean to drop down. He just wanted to go straight through the middle. But fumbling the movement.
As we say in the business, we take those.
Absolutely. Now, I'm not that convinced with Av3k's Athena's play so far. I feel like there's been quite a few fumbles with the movements, messing up the grapple hooks, not getting out of situations that he should be able to escape, kind of messing up just that horizontal quick acceleration, often firing the grapple hook when he's just out of reach. It's not that refined to be used at this level, I feel like. Not like, say, Rafa or Chain when they play Athena.
Well, it's what you're used to saying at this point, where at this level of play, execution-heavy champions, you're so used to seeing a champion get picked and they just do what they are meant to do, regardless of how difficult it is. But with it being as, I think, demanding, I don't think there's any champion in the game more demanding to play at high level than Athena, surely. So you almost forget that sometimes you can have a map where a player is just going to be slightly off with their execution, and it creates these positions where they're just constantly at a disadvantage. And vengeurR, happy to punish it accordingly. You know, he's been hitting all of his shots, he's been playing extremely well. But if there is this position where the Athena movement is a little bit iffy, it's just something that you don't see all that often, to be honest with you.
Yeah, indeed, this was a risky pick for Av3k, and unfortunately for him, it didn't quite pay off. Which means, of course, that vengeurR is going to be on match point after this one. He could settle it on the next map, which I believe, let me take a very quick look, is going to be Molten Falls. Yep, and that will be vengeurR running the slash. Oh, ketchup. That's going to be a sight to behold.
Kind of proud of that. Normally I'm the one that has to check my notes to find a map. But in this instance, yeah, what can we really talk about that hasn't been talked about throughout the course of the entire map? I think that vengeurR did a wonderful job of hitting a lot of the shots that he needed to. That's always going to be demanding with both of these champions. But at the same time, yeah, Av3k's mobility with the Athena, there were just a few little mistakes. They seem like minor mistakes, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's enough to waste a few seconds here and there. There was that one instance in the end of the map where he fell down by accident and kind of created a rail angle that vengeurR wasn't looking for. But that was, I think, the only time it was a blessing. Every other time it was a curse. And vengeur's going to take that map 7-3. An impressive showing pretty much across the board for him, as now we're going into what could be his final map to win the series. This is going to be a pick where, on paper, I would definitely say that the champion pick favors him. I know you kind of in jest said earlier, there are people in chat out there always that go, oh yeah, it's Slash or Molten Falls, this one's a GG, let's just move on. But at the same time now we have vengeurR with the Slash going up against a Visor. If there is an early lead established here from vengeurR, it is going to be so much easier for him to run rings around that medium champion. I know there is that general passive of Visor, so he's going to have that small element, but he doesn't have that kind of short and snappy access to, I need to chase you down, let me just pop this air dash or whatever it is. Right. Visor hasn't got any of that. So if he's behind, Av3k's going to have to be playing around vengeurR for all 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, indeed. And I think it's especially in those final few minutes that difference can really matter, right? This is the third map of the series where vengeurR has a champion that can run away with the scoreline and just keep his distance from his opponent quite easily. Corrupted Keep, he had Doomslayer versus Aizen. Ruins of Sarnath, he had Ranger versus Galena. Now, of course, he didn't manage to hang on to the lead there. And now he's Slash versus Visor. So that's 3 picks already where he's significantly more mobile than his opponent. And as you just said, if vengeurR gets a significant lead going, it's going to be very difficult for Av3k to catch him out. However, Av3k will be playing the Visor, and Piercing Sight helps more on larger maps, and Molten Falls is pretty much the largest map in the pool right now. You can very easily use that Piercing Sight without your opponent having any idea that you use that ability, and then just be able to set up a beautiful trap, line up those railgun shots, and that could definitely help out in countering the speed and the aggression that Slash can bring.
And on the other hand, Av3k is going to have a lot of information, because although it is a large map, if Slash is crouch sliding all over the place, you can hear that quite comfortably. Maybe not if you're trying to get around a corner, because sometimes these crouch sliders, especially Slash, they're zooming around a corner. It can be a bit hard to place those rockets, because sometimes, you know, half a second too early or late and it doesn't even connect. But the noise combined with piercing sight might be pretty okay for Av3k here. Now he looks to open up with the rail, unfortunately doesn't get the shot, which does put him in a position where he takes a bit of damage. Now he does hit 2 rails back to back though, and that is going to be vengeurR having to lick his wounds, and he jumps down. Oh, he tries to plasma trail his way out of there, but Av3k hitting the shots that he needs.
Very nice opening by the Polish prince, of course.
Very good.
Railgun. Railgun is the only weapon he's really done any damage with, and that's exactly what he needed as well. Now he's going to be able to get away with the heavy. And that definitely works out in his favor, because vengeurR is playing a light champion, and the lights are so dependent on those armors, right? And if Av3k can keep in control of the heavy, he's going to make it so much more difficult for vengeurR. Nice trap here as well, so patient, waiting on vengeurR to come back around for the railgun, knowing very well that that is a weapon that his opponent needs. But the LG by the Maestro player looked sublime, and he managed to counter Av3k to a significant degree.
Something you always notice when you watch vengeurR is that his confidence with the LG can match rails. He can be in a fight where you'd normally be so used to seeing us only take it if they both have a rail gun, but vengeurR goes, nah, let's go, I'm pushing him with an LG and I'm going to hit every shot that I need to with it. And I'm going to somehow outrange you, even if I don't have access to one. And that's what I find so impressive. It is that confidence in vengeurR's own ability. Av3k was looking for that piercing sight rail. I think it was so preemptive that maybe that's a giveaway that piercing sight was used. vengeurR might have an understanding over that now. And the mega does go in his favor. Doesn't have the heavy still. And lack of armor will always be the bane of the lights.
Av3k definitely not hesitant with using that piercing sight. He just uses it whenever he's got it ready, at any key time really, rather than just waiting for the perfect opportunity. And I think vengeurR is also going to be keen on using that plasma trail of his, even if he doesn't need it to just actively, you know, lock off an area. He wants to deny those hourglasses because he knows that that is so vital to Av3k's game plan right now. And if he can keep using the plasma trail just like that, just to get across, get a little extra speed boost, moving him to this heavy, that's just a lot of hourglasses that he can now pick up and deny from his opponent.
vengeurR gets a good opening read on the rocket where Av3k was standing just near rail, but every other shot I think was definitely good decision-making by Av3k, catching vengeurR off guard. vengeurR takes a few of those lights, but once again is forced to retreat. And he's got to get himself some rocket ammo, actually. Only one of them left in the tank. And Av3k keeping this impressive stack. The piercing sight is ready. They're kind of close to each other, though, so if Av3k chooses to pop it now, he knows he's going to be giving vengeurR far too much information. Wait patiently. I like that. And even coupling the tri-bolt with the piercing sight combined, just to try and maybe mask that sound effect.
It's interesting that you mentioned the rocket, because Av3k hasn't even bothered picking one up. He's fired 0 shots with the rockets. He's had the opportunity to, but he's really just been sticking to the LG and the rail to do most, if not all, of his damage this series.
I think it goes to show exactly what range Av3k plans on taking this map. He has no interest in being close where Slash can run rings around you. However, if he does, and he doesn't have one, it's super shotgun only. To be fair, does impressive damage to vengeurR, but it will allow the Italian to pick up that first frag of the map for him. And they have this even split in score. Piercing sight gave him some information, but not all, as now vengeurR pushing forward, and oh my lord, how can these guys find LG that impressively with such little of the model in show?
And that tri-ball too. Just a little jump up, placing his shot at the perfect place, 76 damage out of absolutely nowhere when Av3k thought he was long in the clear already. That's something else. Now both players are in position for heavy, but Av3k doesn't want to go for it. He doesn't have rail, doesn't have rockets. With just LG dropping down from above, that's not a situation that you ever want to find yourself in. So instead, he's going to take that opportunity to secure himself at least some of those vital weapons that he needs and get the timing right now. He knows when heavy is up. He knows exactly when mega is going to spawn as well. He's not looking for a straight up engagement with vengeurR yet. He instead wants to pick up one more small armor, I reckon, before maybe making his way back over. But vengeurR is vigilant. He knows that his opponent doesn't have the rail yet. He knows that Av3k still wants small armors, and he's going to try and manipulate and leverage that.
And now they've taken that trade. You take a rail, I take heavy. And now is a little bit of opening tri-bolt damage, even more so. Right as vengeurR drops down, that was such a good call out! Just making the read that he wasn't going to have a rail in that position, and he takes both the mega and another frag. We have officially, folks, hit our 5-minute warning. vengeurR in the lead, looking to extend it even more so. Gets himself a third frag. And this could be the beginning of the end. Is Av3k going to be able to pull off a comeback here and bring us into a final map? Oh dear! Maybe not.
That almost went wrong. That little bounce kind of caught vengeurR by supply, whiffed one of his rockets entirely, but he's got a really nice setup on the items, although Av3k actually did a really good job at denying at least one of them. By taking an aggressive stance towards Railgun and using those rockets very well, he pushed vengeurR back long enough so he could pick up at least the Mega. This might very well be a frag for the endpoint player. Can he lock it down? No!
Without a rocket launcher, what can you do in that situation? Even with the piercing sight, if Av3k had anything that could do splash, then maybe things could have gone different. But the preparation, vengeurR, his ability to think on his feet, just never fails to impress. But now, the lead just extends here, Flea, and the pressure is starting to add up. This could be another opportunity. vengeurR quite rightly backing off, and he is able to take a light armor. This favors him. The double back! Av3k must have been so convinced he was going to retreat.
And this is the situation that I warned about as we were loading into this map, right? vengeurR now has a 5 frag lead, and he is so much faster. Slash on this map in particular, she's a force of nature. Ketchup, no one can deny that. Av3k has to pull out a miracle if he wants to catch his opponent out. Not once, not twice, but 5 whole times. But this is an excellent start. The LG is on point, whereas vengeur's rockets were uncharacteristically weak in that engagement, just really couldn't pull out the damage. And that might be the starting point of Av3k building some momentum and still catching up with his opponent.
vengeurR was using that Mega Spawn as an opportunity to take the rail. He needs to capitalize on having this range on his side, because at this stage, knowing again that piercing sight becomes available, Av3k wasting no time popping it. Now he knows where vengeurR is sitting, but at the same time, he knows he's going to make some noise. He was looking for the runaway. Av3k, I like that rail choice. He knows that there's no way vengeur's going to fight that. He doesn't have armor. He'd be an absolute madman to challenge it. But the heavy on board, vengeurR, a little bit of opening damage. That plasma trail makes it kind of hard to hit the LG. I actually love that choice, because now vengeurR on both items, and just like that, steals them away. The light to boot. And this could be the setup that causes vengeurR to move on in this bracket.
Indeed, that was so beautifully engineered. Realistically, I see only one way that Av3k can bring this back, and that is railing and hitting everything, right? Railgun doesn't care about distance, doesn't care about speed. It's a hit scan weapon with infinite range. Slash is fast, but a rail is still faster. So if he can just start hitting one after the other, he might still have a shot, but it is looking so unlikely right now. This is a desperate push from Av3k. Just as the small armor spawns and gives vengeurR the stack that he needs to survive, and at this point, I think all hope is starting to grow dim. Ketchup. 90 seconds left for 5 frags, chasing down Slash on Molten. I just don't see it happening anymore.
There's no way, as far as I can tell. The plasma trail is going to become available again for the quick getaway. We have a close range fight. They don't trade the rockets. And there's still a large task here. The saving grace, this light, not going to spawn with any armor. So if Av3k can somehow daisy chain, but there's no getting around the fact that this is absolutely in favor of vengeurR, because it is that mobility. As long as he has even an inkling over where Av3k is on the map, he's out. There is no possible way Visor can chase down a Slash. This is where the champion matchup, we see the GGs have already come out. Av3k is going to have to accept defeat here. And I think no one knows better about his own situation. vengeurR is going to be able to take out Av3k in this upper bracket. And the dream of becoming the champion gets one step closer to a reality, Flea.
Indeed so. And that means that vengeurR will be the first player in these finals to qualify for the upper bracket finals, where he will be facing either Cipher or Razi later today. And it also means that vengeurR is going to be vengeurR, if Av3k rather, is going to be dropping down to the lowers, where he will be facing Kilson.
And there is strong possibility of a run back, you know. There is a chance of a lower bracket run back, if you get my drift.
Yeah. Most definitely is. Seeing a lot of love in chat for vengeurR as well. Italy
Quite rightly
already
so.
managed to secure 1 cup just a few weeks, if not months ago, and now it might be going wrong once again. If vengeurR has anything to say about it, this man is looking good. That was a convincing 3-1 victory versus Av3k, who has proven to be a bit of a nemesis, right? We've touched upon this as we started the series. All 3 of their previous matches, Av3k was the winner, but now vengeurR turns the tide around and actually secures himself the victory. Congratulations and well played.
I can only simply echo that, Flea, as we'll bring back in Wheat, have a bit of a breakdown of that matchup. I'd love to get a chat in with vengeurR so we can kind of just talk about what was going through his mind during that series, because there is a real dream to be had. There are people out there, Wheat, that strongly believe that vengeurR could win this tournament. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say I have 3 takeaways from watching this. First off, vengeurR looking to be in incredible shape here in the morning for map 1. Obviously got some rest, just looked remarkable. Loved everything that we saw out of him. My other takeaway, or my second takeaway, is that we've talked a little bit about the Athena picks and how they can go incredibly right and horribly wrong. And I feel like we saw horribly wrong a horribly wrong example here today on that Awoken matchup. Now, with that being said, Av3k's LG was something quite amazing, and vengeurR obviously answered back. But the other third takeaway I just want to say is that, you know, I noticed that there was the original Italian stallion is in chat right now, Sturmy, who must be very proud of vengeurR and what he has accomplished right now. So just shout out to him, as it's good to see all the Quake legacy coming out here over the course of the QPL World Championships. So it was a good match, a great way for us to kick off. It's kind of jarring to think like, okay, map 1 is done, and now Av3k is going on to play Kilson. Right? Neither of the players probably wanted that path, but with the 6 players that are left who are here, it's going to be a hard road no matter what.
Oh, it's all killers. This is an absolute Shark Tank, and every match that you play is going to be a potential grand finals, right? And that's how we want it on Championship Saturday. But I think that as we bring on what I think really helped out vengeurR there, it seems heavily, especially looking at how those maps went down, that the pick and ban phase was done extremely well by vengeurR. I think it was both the maps and how he was able to play on those maps, combined with the fact that he handled the champion matchup very well. I think there was a lot of smarts going on behind the scenes even before the series began. And then you just combine the natural talent and the execution on top of that. A very comfortable win overall. But I did hear someone join the channel, so I think we should be good in a second.
Yeah, I think we are going to be good in a second. I do want to, based off of what you said too, and it sounds like we are already, but I felt like the Ruins game could have gone either way. But let's welcome him. He played through in the first semifinal. He now finds himself in the upper bracket finals. Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming to the stage, we have got vengeurR joining us. Congratulations, man. Great game. How are you feeling today? You looked really great. Looks like you got some rest, but love to hear your thoughts on that matchup.
Well, as I think Flea said already in the pre-match, last time I won Av3k was the first event we had in Quake Pro League, and after that I always lost to him. So that was really like a big step for me to overcome him, because his playstyle is really tough for me, because his aim is incredible, and overall he's really strong and smart player. So I'm really happy to be able to win this matchup. Like, it really means a lot for me, actually.
Good.
Now, I mean, so one thing I'd really love to talk about is actually in a similar vein to that. So the last fair chunk of times you fought Av3k, he was able to get the upper hand. If there's one time to be able to beat him, it's going to be this weekend, right? Because this is the big one. I know your focus will continue all the way through the tournament. There's plenty more absolute killers to get through. But when it comes to preparation against Av3k, was there anything in particular that you were really focusing on against him specifically? Like, what was your preparation looking like leading up to this matchup?
I think what really gave me the edge in this matchup was the pick and ban process. I think I had better champions in almost all maps. and I knew how to work against the East champions. So I knew that if I could make a good draft, I could give myself some good opportunities into the matchup, you know. And usually in a best of 3, you have like always the same champions, but in a best of 5, it's a bit different because you have to kind of like mix up a bit of like things around. And yeah, you know, like just giving yourself a good draft is always like I always say that like you win the duel also in the pre-match. So if you can give yourself some good champions and you can balance out like the match, is gonna be good for you. So
Absolutely. We definitely saw that too.
Sure did. vengeurR, congratulations. That was an impressive victory. Just a bit of a general question. Your next match is going to be either versus Razi or Cipher. How do you feel about that? Is there anyone you'd like to play more than the other? Is there anyone you'd love to still go up against this tournament? Or how positive are you feeling about the matches ahead?
it's fun because I think in these final 6 people that we are playing in today could all win tournament, and it's kind of crazy to me how the competition has been stepping up in the like past year. I don't know, man. I think they are all amazing players, and whoever, I'm gonna play the best I can and try to win. Like if it's Razi, okay. If it's Cipher, okay. If it's Rafa, like I don't really care who I'm gonna play, as long as I can play my best, and I hope they can play their best too, so we can give a good show to the people watching. And I'm ready anyway for anyone. So
Spoken
You're
like
giving
a
us
true
a great
champ.
show.
thank you.
By the way, vengeurR, thank you so much. Good luck in the rest of your matches today. Congratulations on your victory, and
you.
we will see you in the upper finals. Yeah, you had something you want to say?
No, I'm fine. Just thank you to all the Twitch chat and supporters. You know, like thank you a lot.
They are cheering you on and putting all their channel points on you. So, all right, congratulations. Good luck in the upper brackets. We'll see you soon. Gentlemen, that is going to conclude our first semifinal of the day. If that makes you a little sad, well, I've got something to make you happy, because the second semifinal is coming at you, and it is going to be Cipher versus Razi, another amazing matchup. I loved what vengeurR said about, like, it doesn't matter at this point who I'm going to play against. Everyone left in this tournament capable of winning. Truer words have never been spoken. Ketchup and Flea, thank you so much for taking us through this first semifinal. We are going to take a break, and when we return, Cipher versus Razi here for Day 3, Championship Saturday for the QPL World Championships. Don't go away. We're going to be right back.